Si Peter lagi ke rumah sakit.
Kenapa?
Dia baru operasi.
Cuman makin ini sih, makin berkurang baca buku sih. Karena lebih senang baca cerpen kan. Sekarang aku cerita di base
you just
Indonesia
came out
juga
with
kan.
your cerpen, right?
Iya, aku bikin 3 cerpen.
I learned that word from you, cerpen.
Oh iya?
Yeah. I was like, I think I asked one of my friends, like, because you posted about cerpen. I was like, what is cerpen? So cerita pendek.
Benar-benar.
Yeah. There's another word that relating to today's topic I learned from you.
Apa tuh?
Stoicism. Do you remember when we filmed the first time and you were in my apartment and I think
Di apartemen kamu?
Yeah. Except I can't remember if you said it on camera or was it off camera, but you said the word stoicism or stoic. I was in post production, I was editing it, and I was like, stoicism, what is that? And I started googling, and that's how I like.
Bener.
Yeah, I learned the word from you.
Yang bener.
Iya bener.
Wow.
Yeah, sampai sekarang aku to answer my own question of like what book I'm currently reading, or actually what book that I recently finished reading. Ego is the Enemy.
Ryan Holiday.
Yes.
Aku mau pamer boleh gak nih?
Of course, go ahead.
Ryan Holiday nge-DM aku. Dia ngirimin bukunya ke rumahku. Beserta postcard. Ryan Holiday.
What does that feel like?
Wah, seneng banget sih.
That's insane. How did he DM you? What did you do?
Gak tahu. Aku nggak tahu sama sekali. Aku cuman follow.
Is it because you talk about stoicism?
Nggak tahu, sama sekali nggak tahu. Feeling ya, ini feelingku ya.
Yeah.
Dia lihat followers list.
Yeah.
Mungkin dia lihat yang centang biru.
Ya mungkin.
Ya. Dia lihat yang followernya gede kayaknya.
Oh, maybe it's just like a PR thing.
Kayaknya.
Maybe.
Jangan bukan dia juga sih. Tapi.
I mean, it's his account. It's the same thing.
Iya.
You can say it's him.
Iya sih.
You can say it's him.
Sih. Ya, stoicism. Iya. Itu aku ngomong di kamu ya. Kamu pasti nggak tahu kata ini.
What?
Apa binatang yang kepalanya 3, kakinya 2, sayap 1?
Hah? Kakinya? Sorry,
Kepala
kepalanya
3,
ya?
kaki 2, sayap 1.
Apa tuh?
Kursteha.
Is that a mythical creature?
Kursteha. Tahu nggak Kursteha apa?
No.
Binatang kepala 3, kaki 2, sayap 1.
Okay.
Iya. Kursteha.
Kursuseha.
Iya.
Oh, okay.
Tanya dong apa itu?
What is that?
Apa itu apa?
Kursuseha.
Binatang yang kepalanya 3.
Ini orang nonton kayak apaan sih ini si Radit ya? Bro. Oh my gosh.
Aduh gak penting banget.
Moving. It's so dumb. Kursuseha. How do you even spell that?
Seharusnya gitu nanyanya. Kamu nanya, apa itu Kursuseha? Terus aku jawab, binatang kepala 3, kakinya 2, sayapnya 1. Terus nanya lagi, apa itu? Binatang gitu.
Lingkaran setan.
Yeah. Jadi definitionnya itu berdasarkan itu.
Yeah, the definition is within.
Iya.
The
Padahal nggak ada itunya.
Wow. There's some profound metaphor somewhere in there. There's some profound metaphor. Just to like spice up today's philosophical conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did learn the word from you, and then so I started reading. Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday.
Ego is the Enemy, bagus banget. Apa yang kamu mau tahu soal stoicism?
What do I what?
Apa yang kamu mau tahu? What do you want to know? Karena aku lihat itu kamu tuh, dossier kamu tuh.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that question. What do I want to know about stoicism?
Karena di antara semua topik yang bisa kamu pilih, bareng aku ya, film, buku atau apapun, come up-nya ini.
Apa?
Come up-nya yang topik ini. Why?
Oh, no, mostly just because, well, number one, I feel like, number one, I learned the word from you, and also number two, I feel like I'm not wrong on this about you, right? Like you have an interest in philosophy.
Oh ya.
Yeah, so that's why I thought like.
Meskipun aku ngobrol di Base Indonesia, semua orang kaget aku bisa mengenal kata Sartre ya, atau Sah atau
Really, people were surprised
atau
that you know
apapun
that.
cara bacanya.
Really? People were shocked?
Iya, itu banyak banget yang komen.
Bukannya
aneh banget.
Don't you talk about philosophy like in your
Dulu banget. Cuman emang aku tidak pernah actively engaging di discussion about philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
Karena memang nggak pernah ada kesempatannya.
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
Maksudnya aku ngapain juga di podcastku kan, YouTube Raditya Dika. Karena kita kan bahas filsafat.
Oh ya, yeah. No, but that's why I thought, okay, let this be your opportunity, show off.
Ya makanya pas si buzzer interview juga kan bilang, lo yakin nih mau tahu yang soal kayak gini dari sisi gue gitu. Tapi ternyata jadi menarik ya. It's a very interesting conversation sih.
Oh, what I do want to know is who's your favorite Stoic philosopher and why?
Udah pasti Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, damn. Kalian sama, buzzer juga.
Iya. Yeah.
What are you making?
Bayangin aja, dia seorang emperor. Dia adalah seorang kaisar. Dia bisa melakukan apapun yang dia mau. Tapi dia memilih untuk hidup dalam virtue ya, kebajikan ya.
Iya, iya.
Dan dia dipilih loh sama emperor sebelumnya pas umur 17 tahun. Dilihat dia kayak punya potensi nih orang gitu kan. Akhirnya beneran jadi kaisar. Yang dia lakuin adalah, kaisar mana sih yang kerjaanin menulis buku untuk dirinya sendiri dengan judul Meditations. Itu gak pernah diperuntukkan buat orang lain loh, buku itu. Yang kayak jadi pedoman orang-orang yang ngikutin Stoicism ya.
Iya, iya.
Tapi tiap pagi dia tulis.
For himself?
For himself, untuk mengingat dia aja gitu. Dan tahu nggak yang paling nyantol apa? Yang paling kalau baca meditation paling depan tuh soal people suck. Ya udah.
Yeah.
People just suck.
People are shit.
Iya.
Yeah.
Ya udah. Tapi bukan artinya you have to be suck as well.
Just
iya
because
kan?
people suck doesn't mean you have to suck.
Iya. Tapi ya udah. Ya udah. Semua sumber ketidakbahagiaan lo adalah lo berharap sama manusia lain. Karena udah pasti suck. Ya udah, biarin aja. Nah, aku jujur ya, aku bukan mengikuti Stoicism. Artinya aku tidak mengikuti, nggak nyari dan aku adalah ini secara identitas.
Yeah.
Karena ketika aku menemukan Stoikisme, ternyata kok mirip sama values diri gue, which is nggak terlalu mikirin orang. Apa segala macam
To
gitu.
each their own, mind your own business.
Ya, gitu. Nah, tapi pas nemuin itu jadi nyantol karena anjir nih kayaknya sama nih.
Right.
Ya kan? Apa yang bisa kita ambil dari Stoikisme itu? Karena virtue-nya dia, kebajikannya itu ada 4 sebenarnya. Aku nyebutnya itu singkatannya CT Jusue.
CT?
Iya. Jusue.
Okay.
Ya, mau pakai mnemonik yang apa? Ngafal-ngafal itu tapi nggak nemu. Akhirnya dipaksain aja.
Oke, CT Jusue.
Ingatnya Pak CT.
Okay.
Khairul Tanjung. Minum jus wortel, Jusue.
Oke.
Itu Pak Khairul Tanjung minum jus wortel.
Oke. Oke.
Yang pertama tuh courage kan C-nya ya.
Yes, courage.
Courage itu adalah apa ya? Keberanian. Courage itu apa sih?
Ya, keberanian.
Keberanian ya. Keberanian. Minum jus wortel, CT Jusue.
CT Jusue.
Iya. Tapi yang favoritku yang kedua, temperance.
Oh, what does that mean?
Temperance itu artinya kecukupan ya. Bener nggak sih kecukupan ya?
Temperance.
Temperance, ke apa ya? Ya kecukupan lah ya. Contentment ya.
Contentedness, yeah.
Tahu bahwa kalau sebuah hal itu memang sudah cukup. Ya sudah, itu aja.
Ya.
Kalau marah ya udah marah, kalau sedih ya udah sedih. Suatu saat kita bisa sedih lagi, suatu saat kita bisa bahagia lagi. Ya udah cukup aja sih semuanya gitu.
Ya.
Nggak perlu terlalu berlebihan dalam sebuah hal. Jusnya itu just juice.
Justice.
Enggak, bukan.
I hate it.
Just juice orange. Jusnya itu just juice orange. Iya, just juice orange. Kudu tuh cekah itu ya binatangnya ya. Biar inget terus. Terus si jusnya justice.
Justice, ya.
Ya kan. Ya keadilan, emang kita harus bersikap adil buat semua orang.
Yep.
Kalau karyawan kerja di luar jam kerja ada lembur, kalau misalnya kita janji sama seseorang harus kita tepati, keadilan aja gitu. Datang on time.
Yeah.
Itu salah satu bentuk keadilan paling standar nggak sih?
Datang on time?
Iya nggak sih?
Oh, then that's justice not being served here in Indonesia then.
Makanya aku super on time orangnya.
You were I think slightly earlier malah. Yeah.
Iya, aku biasanya 5 menit lebih dulu itu pasti selalu datang. Nah karena itu kita ngasih keadilan buat orang yang mau ketemu kita. Itu kan sederhana banget.
So how do you feel whenever, you know the tendency here in Indonesia to like operate off of jam karet?
Jam karet, ya.
Like you tell them, hey, let's have dinner at 5 p.m. They leave the house at 5 p.m.
Gini loh, kalau aku tuh biasa sih orang langsung gak enak sendiri ya. Kalau gitu ya.
So, yes.
Iya, aku berasumsi kayak gitu. Cuman ke belakang sih karena orang tahu memang ini kebiasaanku ya, aku jarang dapat orang yang telat-telat banget gitu sih. Telat sih ada sih, cuman nggak banget.
Oh, as in because they know Raditya's the type to be on time, so you better not be
Kalau
late.
di circleku, di mana aku sering janjian sama orang, iya gitu.
What about like professional setting then? Oh, tapi itu professional ya, itu ya.
Ya aku pernah juga sih. Penonton YouTubeku pasti tahu lah. Aku pernah nungguin sampai berapa jam waktu itu. Salah satu tamuku gitu. Cuman ya nggak apa-apa juga. Maksudnya aku sebel, tapi aku bilang aku sebel.
It is what it is.
Tapi ya udah, gitu nggak masalah juga. Ya udah, let it go aja kan.
Yeah, and see that's stoicism.
Iya itu stoicism. Nah banyak orang salah kaprah. Yang namanya jadi stoik itu tidak punya rasa, which is numb.
Yes,
Iya kan?
Yes.
Semua orang bilang gitu kan. Jadi stoik itu berarti nggak punya perasaan. Apa? Enggak. Kita ngerasain. Tapi ini catch-nya. Kita ngerasain perasaan itu. Tapi kita tidak membiarkan perasaan itu mengontrol kita.
Exactly. Emotional regulation.
Iya.
Yeah.
Artinya lu sedih nggak apa-apa, nangis aja.
Right.
Tapi jangan biarin itu mengontrol, mengkonsum diri kita. Jadi kayak apa?
Right.
Gitu loh.
Well, and part of it too, like part of not letting your emotion control you is not letting that emotion dictate your actions, right? You can feel however way you feel.
Iya, itu ada yang ngintip dari podcast sebelah kali, enggak? Dia ngintip terus pergi lagi. Indah, kamu harus coba ini.
That's some rich people shit. Spread it, okay.
Ih, ini enak banget. Anyway, yang terakhir,
Wisdom.
W-nya itu wisdom. Nah, wisdom itu kalau aku mengartikannya adalah pengetahuan. Karena semakin kita berpengetahuan, maka semakin kita bijaksana. Karena kita tahu orang lain, kita bisa empati sama orang lain.
Sorry, what does bijaksana mean in English?
Wise ya.
Oh.
Wise ya. Jadi artinya adalah banyak baca buku, banyak tahu, banyak ngerti. Dan tahu kapan kita harus bersikap sebagai orang yang nggak tahu apa-apa.
Yes.
Permasalahannya sama orang yang suka baca buku kadang-kadang dia ngerasa lebih tahu dari yang lain, kan persoalan itu kan. Nah untuk tahu bahwa kita nggak tahu apa-apa itu juga penting banget. Gitu.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think a part of stoicism, like the when they talk about wisdom, right? It's also the understanding that you are never the smartest person in the room, and you're never the smartest person. Like period. There's so much more that you don't know compared to what you do know. Yeah. And it's the constant pursuit of wisdom.
Betul.
Yeah.
Karena betapa banyak hal yang kita nggak tahu dengan semua buku ini. Iya kan?
Yeah.
Nah itu cara kalau aku ngelihat stoicism tuh dari 4 virtu tadi ya.
Really quickly, temperance. You said, are you sure it doesn't mean self-discipline? Because
temperance,
the four, I mean, what I wrote down here when I was doing research is wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Oke,
self-discipline itu kan berarti artinya kita tahu kapan itu berlebihan, kapan itu kurang kan?
Oh, that's
mungkin maksudnya arti harafiahnya itu self-discipline.
Self-discipline. Ya.
Cuman aku mengartikannya adalah kecukupan.
Kecukupan ya.
Kecukupan untuk tahu bahwa kita nggak boleh engage terlalu banyak sama adiksi misalnya. Maksudnya itu kan self-regulation.
Yeah. Well, too much of a good
diri,
thing is
kan.
Too much of a good thing is bad.
Yeah. Mungkin harafiahnya itu temperance.
Self-restraint.
Ya, oke.
Willpower essentially.
Ya, willpower ya. Ya, cuma aku mengartikannya ke tahu kapan cukup. Kapan cukup dan kapan harus berhenti untuk melakukan hal-hal yang kita nggak tahu atau yang kita suka atau apapun itulah gitu.
Yeah. Where does that? I'm curious. Where does that apply in your personal life? Like the whole like.
Aduh, apa ya?
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where it's like, okay, this is enough. I need to have enough of this.
Oke, main game contohnya.
Oke.
Ya, main game. Aku kalau misalnya udah kecanduan main game, itu aku biasanya bales dengan bikin sesuatu sih. Kayak nulis lagi atau apa segala macam.
Oh, yours is still very tame. I was gonna say mine is vindictiveness. Dendaman.
Oh, kamu dendaman?
Ya, aku orangnya tipenya dendaman.
Oke.
Yeah. So I know that's not
Kamu
a very
dendaman?
Huh?
Dendaman kenapa?
No, as in I'm the type of, you know the saying an eye for an eye? I'm very eye for an eye.
Serius?
Yeah, I'm not glamorizing that. I'm not validating that. Like that's just the way that I am. But so something like the one thing that Stoicism has helped me in, like it's actually helped a lot in my personal development. I'm not gonna lie. Everything from like know when to have enough. know when you've had enough and pissing people off on the internet. I think that's one. Know when you've had enough controversies or whatever. But I think it's also like know when you've had enough of the last laugh, because I like to have the last laugh.
Okay.
I like to get even, and I do tell myself like, okay, maybe in certain situations, like I think I do deserve to get even. I don't know if that's just me coping, but maybe I do deserve to get even, and maybe I could get even in ways that are not too unethical. But at some point know how to stop. Know when you've had enough. Jadi kalau buat aku sih ya gitu.
Kenapa ya? Aku nggak punya itu ya. Maksudnya
you're just a chill guy.
Kayaknya ya.
You're just a chill guy. I need stoicism because I'm a fucking menace. Because I need help.
Tapi lagi-lagi aku tidak mempraktekannya secara conscious gitu.
Because I guess back again, like I feel like you already come with a very relaxed, chill character. Stoicism is helpful for crazy people like me.
Mungkin ya.
Yeah.
Mungkin ya. Dulu tuh aku tuh ini gara-gara aku konten sama Uus nih.
Okay.
Aku tuh jadi mikir. Karena aku baru cerita aku dulu PMR, Palang Merah Remaja kan.
Okay.
Terus dia bilang, pantesan hero Mobile Legend loh. Kalau main Mobile Legend itu hero support. Which is hero-hero yang suka nge-heal, nyembuh-nyembuhin.
Yeah.
So, aku kemarin ngomong sama Maiden, tahu Maiden gak sih? Ada pro player ya, siapa sih Maiden? Pro player atau itu sih dia lebih
e-sport?
seringnya e-sport ya. Pro player. Aku bilang hero aku Angela sama Rafaela. Terus dia langsung kayak cowok make Angela sama Rafaela. Lu pakai juga anjir. Dia juga make lagi. Karena aku suka support gitu. Nah, setelah aku pikir-pikir, ya karena emang seneng aja gitu. Seneng untuk tidak ada di pusat kehebatan. Ngerti gak sih maksudnya? Paham gak sih maksudnya?
No, I understand, because that's like I think the complete opposite of me. I have a certain facet of my personality where I it's not that I feel the need to be the center of attention, but I don't need it, but when I get it, I like it.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes if you like it too much, then you kind of don't know when to like stop.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes it's also a matter of like, you don't always have to be the center of attention, Inda.
Iya.
Yeah, kayak gitu juga.
Nah, kayaknya itu karena kenapa aku nggak vindiktif sih.
Yeah.
Karena itu kan urusannya sama dia lebih keren dari gue kan. Maksudnya kalau dia giniin gue berarti dia one up gue gitu nggak sih? Nggak juga.
Not about keren ya. Vindictive is just like dendaman because like they did something bad to you.
So you have to one up.
You have to one up.
Iya kan? Ya berarti artinya kan kalau gue nggak gini dia di atas gue gitu kan?
Yeah. In ego, it's an ego thing.
Nah itu tuh.
Itu.
Aku tuh nggak apa-apa gitu.
That's good.
Makanya ini contoh nih ya. Jadi dulu banget waktu masih pacaran sama Anissa Aziza.
Okay.
Dia ngajak main badminton. Kita main di Citos. Main badminton. Ini kejadiannya 7 tahun, 8 tahun lalu. Main bareng aku main badminton. Dia cerita sebelum main, aku tuh sering banget main badminton sama papaku. Bla 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 gitu.
Okay.
Aku waktu kuliah di Australia itu hampir tiap minggu main badminton. Sama temenku juga jago banget, orang dari Kediri, namanya Haryanto. Oke. Jadi aku oke lah, bisa lah main badminton. Pas main di Citos, ternyata Anissa kesusahan. Aku ngalah-ngalahin supaya dia yang menang. Ini. Oke. Menanglah dia. Dibahas bertahun-tahun betapa jagonya dia mengalahkan aku. Oke.
Yeah.
Sampai di depan semua orang. Kayak aku keren tahu main badminton, bener nggak bang? Bener nggak bang? Lama-lama kayak kita harus bikin pertandingan ulang nih gitu. Sampai akhirnya bulan lalu apa 2 bulan lalu gitu ya, aku main di Kemang.
Okay.
Akhirnya beneran aku serius mainnya.
Okay.
Baru dia kayak, ternyata kamu waktu itu ngalah-ngalahin. Aku pikir kamu beneran gak bisa main. Nggak, aku beneran. Tapi itu artinya aku senang banget kalau ngelihat orang oke gitu, ngerti gak sih maksudnya? Mungkin tuh feeling jadi support Mobile Legend tuh kayak itu.
I get the sense you're not an insecure person, right? So much of ego.
Mungkin ya.
People that usually operate from a very high ego are usually very insecure. I guess you're very self-assured in yourself.
Kayaknya.
You don't feel the need to prove yourself to other people. I guess.
Kayaknya.
Yeah, probably. In terms of Stoic philosophers, kalau Epictetus?
Epictetus juga.
Yeah, I would say like out of all of the Stoic philosophers, I think Epictetus's work is the one that resonates with me the most because I think number one, it's you know the saying like do you know the Serenity Prayer?
No. Itu banget, stoic banget tuh.
Oh yeah, the Serenity Prayer. So for people that are tuning into this and you guys don't know, the Serenity Prayer is usually Alcoholics Anonymous. They say this before the start of the meeting, and I think it goes. Hold on, I don't memorize it. God grant me
strength,
serenity. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Itu yang paling keren bagian yang itu. Wisdom to know the difference.
That's interesting because for me, when I read the Serenity Prayer, the one that sticks out to me the most is courage to change the things that I can. Because I think a lot about the four key principles, bisa dikatain principles kali ya. The four key principles of Stoicism itu kan wisdom, courage, temperance ya, self-restraint, sama apa lagi? Justice ya kan. I would say I don't know about you, but for me, out of the four, the one that mungkin bisa dikatain resonates with me the most, or the one that matters to me the most, understanding all of them are important, but the one that matters to me the most is courage.
Oh, gitu ya?
What about you, I guess?
Yang kedua yang itu temperance, yang soal semuanya cukup gitu, nggak kalau udah.
Yeah.
Kalau selesai, which is self-restraint ya tadi.
Yeah, self-restraint.
Tapi itu says a lot juga sih untuk ngelihat Serenity Prayers dan di bagian wisdom to know the difference bagian itu yang paling menarik buatku. Tapi buat kamu di bagian courage-nya ya.
Why is the wisdom to know the difference? Why does that resonate well
Coba
with you?
Aku pikirin ya. Karena kadang kita kita nggak tahu. Itu di luar kuasa kita apa tidak?
Yeah.
Jadi kayak kebahagiaan itu adalah soal untuk tahu mana yang di luar kuasa, mana yang tidak. Kayaknya itu deh. Menurutku deh.
I think for me, I should swallow first.
Iya.
The broccoli's good. Try it.
Oh, ini brokoli ya?
Wait, no, it's not. I'm stupid. It's cauliflower. The cousin.
Welcome back to The Bear.
Wah, indah luar biasa. Jadi ini restoran apa lagi nih? Sama Cinta Laura di mana?
Hilton, Doubletree by Hilton. Have you been?
Enak-enak banget. Nggak pernah kesana sih.
Bagus, you should try.
Pasti enak.
Seagrain, take your wife out on a date there.
Betul.
I would say with me, I think it's courage. But I think that's more of a personality and personal value thing for me. Courage, I guess the way that I see it, out of everything that I care about when it comes to what people know me as, like, beyond being known for being smart or being decorated in achievements or being rich or pretty or whatever, like out of everything, I think the one thing that I care about the most, like the legacy that I really want to leave behind, is for people to remember me as somebody who's brave. Yeah, and courageous. So I guess it's just that.
Apa kamu ada problem dengan keberanian pada saat dulu gitu? Dulunya kamu nggak berani orangnya?
That's interesting. I think I've always been. I don't think so. I feel like where that comes from, I think is because as a child, I always saw a lot of the problems in society came from people not wanting to speak up about the things that behind closed doors we all know, but we just for some reason can't say it out loud. And like that causes, the way that I saw it was that but if we all already know this behind closed doors, like why can't we just say it? Like that's just the way that it is, right? And then, but there's like a lot of things like, for example, jaimness. Fun fact about me, I hate jaimness.
Okay.
Like I feel like there's nothing, for me personally, yeah? Like I'm not saying people that are jaim are horrible people, that's it. But I think like, for me, that's something that I can't compensate on. I can't compromise on is authenticity.
Oh ya, itu benar.
I want to present myself the way that I want to present myself, and I want to say the things that I want to say. I want to fight for the things that I believe like I should be fighting for.
Okay.
Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong or whether you think I'm stupid or whatever, come hell or high water, I will go down in history as somebody who is brave and bold and stands for what I deem to be the truth. I think it's a
which
personal
is
value
makin
thing.
susah zaman sekarang juga kan.
Yeah, what do you think makes it harder these days?
Ya, karena semua ngejudge bisa kapan aja dimanapun dan apapun omongan kita kalau tidak sesuai dengan pendapat orang di era post-truth sekarang ya.
Especially kena cancel culture gitu ya.
Kebohongan yang dibuat orang soal kita itu bisa jadi kenyataan kalau diyakini oleh begitu banyak orang.
Oh, of course.
Iya kan?
Yeah, have you had that in your career?
Aku lupa sih. Seharusnya pernah sih. Tapi seharusnya pernah sih. Dengan karir sepanjang ini seharusnya pernah. Cuman
that's how nonchalant you are about.
Kayaknya sih. Kalaupun ini juga ya udah.
That's how stoic you are.
Gitu ya. Tapi artinya adalah yang menyebalkan dari kreator sekarang adalah itu gitu. Kita bisa punya satu pernyataan yang bisa menjadi kenyataan yang berbeda di perkataan orang lain. Dengan angle yang beda, di spin dengan segala macam cara gitu.
Oh yeah.
Untuk kepentingan apapun.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, like as somebody who I guess I constitute as an online public figure. Like stoicism is the only thing that's like keeping me like sane and going.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much of, that's why Epictetus, his work, the dichotomy of control.
Yeah.
Of knowing the difference between the things that are within your control and outside of your control, that's been very important for me because
locus of control.
I mean, I think you remember, back when I first started, there was a part of me that was obsessed with trying to control the way other people thought of me, right? And like trying to control certain situations that just ujung-ujungnya juga it's futile, right? Because people on the internet are just gonna believe whatever, and like if they.
Tapi dulunya pernah kayak gitu?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm the type of personality, I like to control things. I think that's part of it. That's part of it too. I like things to be within my control. I used to be the type of person that's like, it's either my way or no way.
Tapi ini yang menarik adalah, aku kalau nyiapin show nih, ini si Nurul juga tahu, aku obses sama apa yang tidak akan terjadi.
Sama yang apa tidak akan terjadi.
Iya, kayak misalnya gimana kalau nanti show-nya molor 5 menit, gimana nanti kalau tiketnya agak susah diakses. Jadi semua itu ngebuat aku mempersiapkan begitu banyak hal gitu. Kalau katanya Marcus Aurelius tuh jangan takut sama hal yang hanya dalam kepala kamu. Kalau nggak salah itu tuh. Tapi kalau istilah khususnya aku nggak tahu.
Something that's, I guess Stoicism teaches this, where you basically you prepare yourself for the worst case scenario in your head, just to prepare yourself.
Okay.
So that when it does happen, you can kind of like you saw it coming.
Okay.
Gitu. Is that what you're talking about atau bukan?
Ya, itu yang aku bicarain bahwa aku terobsesi untuk hal-hal menakutkan yang terjadi di masa depan.
Yeah.
Maka kita mempersiapkan soal itu.
Iya, it's the mempersiapkan part.
Iya. Nah, itu sebenarnya itu agak maksudnya sekarang tuh jadi yang kelihatan emang enak ya. Kelihatannya santai-santai aja. Tapi semua itu udah dipikirin dari jauh-jauh hari gitu. Kayak contohnya ya itu tadi kita ngomongin soal dana pensiun misalnya. Ya aku emang udah ngebayangin dari dulu sebagai penulis, bisa nggak gue survive sampai anak-anak kuliah nggak? Nah ketakutan itu yang membuat aku menyiapkan dana pensiun kan. Sama kayak nyiapin show juga, bisa nggak nanti show-nya lancar? Makanya latihan buat show stand up yang sekarang ini aja harus 6 kali latihan dengan penonton open mic gitu.
Tuh Tito.
Apa tuh?
Karena dia stand up comedian.
Lu stand up comedian bro? Komunitas apa?
Stand.
Yang bener?
Itu Oza dulu juga kan? Iya.
Oza Jaksel.
Komunitasnya Jakpus tapi
dia Jakpus.
Oh gitu, lo stand up? Udah lama?
Setahun.
Oke. Ya jadi ya itu open mic aja sampai 6 kali gitu. Dan obses banget sama ini works apa enggak gitu. Ya mungkin kebantu soal itu juga ya.
Iya.
Iya.
Maybe.
Cuman seharusnya yang aku khawatirin malah hal-hal itu. Hal-hal yang tidak kejadian ini. As opposed
to the things that are
Yeah.
already actively happening. But
Yeah.
but if they're already happening, then it is what it is, right? Like if this is the way that it's somewhat meant to happen.
Betul.
That's also the other thing. Epictetus, he talks about amor fati. Do you remember that?
Amor fati.
Love of fate.
Love of fate. Okay.
So basically, whatever happens is necessary and beneficial, even if it is difficult.
Okay.
Right? So it's accepting
Okay.
accepting your fate, no matter how big or no matter how small it is. But it's just like this is happening.
Iya.
This is happening. It's meant to happen, and it's going to be good for me.
Iya.
Yeah.
Betapa indahnya ya seorang kaisar untuk bisa berpikir hal-hal kayak gini ya.
Was he a Caesar? Epictetus?
Oh, kamu lagi main Epictetus. Aku pikir Marcus Aurelius.
Epictetus was a slave.
Oh iya.
He was a slave.
Aku pikir lagi ngomongin Marcus Aurelius tadi. Terus ada Seneca juga.
Seneca.
Iya. Salah satu
Seneca's the
pemikir
more like.
Stoik juga.
Wait, what's something? I think Seneca and Epictetus are kind of.
Iya.
I guess I think Seneca's the more. No, Seneca. The difference between Seneca and Epictetus is that Seneca's more pragmatic.
Pragmatic.
Yeah, Seneca's more pragmatic, whereas Epictetus is a little bit more pragmatis juga sih, cuma gimana ya?
Ini anaknya kayak nih. Ini aku udah setengah sendiri nih.
Okay, don't watch me eat.
Okay.
I told them not to go crazy on the food because otherwise we're gonna be kenyang bego, and we're talking about philosophy. I can't be bego in this. We'll get back to the episode in just a second, but first I want to give a special shout out to one of our major sponsors of this show, Jalin Traksi. Jalin Traksi is basically Indonesian Patreon mixed with Linktree. It's an incredible exposure platform designed to help creators build their online presence and monetize their content. Whether you're into streaming, photography, writing, or any other creative pursuit, Jalin Traksi provides all of the tools you need to showcase your work and build a dedicated community. They offer a fully customizable creator page where you can design your space to reflect your unique style. They also have unique multiple features to support creators, including streaming overlays with alerts and media share options, and a built-in short link feature that directly connects to your creator page. This makes it super easy to share your content on Instagram, TikTok, or any other platform without needing additional short link services. Jalin Traksi is perfect for creators who want to build a subscription-based fan base while showcasing their online presence through their work. It's all about empowering you to turn your passion into a sustainable career. Your audience can get exclusive content or early access content by paying to subscribe to your Jalin Traksi account, or they can financially support you and your work by donating money directly as well. Just as a side note, of course, the Indoji show also has a Jalin Traksi. Do not subscribe to us on Jalin Traksi because if you want early access content or exclusive VIP content, then y'all know where to go for that one. But we use Jalin Traksi as a way to receive financial support from all of our OGs as well as other kind people on the internet. So if you guys want, you can donate however much money you are able to or willing to in order to financially support not me, Indoji, personally myself, but the show. And especially all the people behind the cameras that work so hard to make this happen, such as Peter, Tito, and everybody else. Peter just got knee surgery. Hashtag help Peter replace his knee. It's user-friendly, aesthetically pleasing, and packed with features that make content creation and community building just seamless. Check out Jalin Traksi and sign up at the link in the description down below. Thank you to Jalin Traksi for sponsoring this show. Now, back to the episode.
Di era dimana semua orang bisa punya opini, kita kadang tidak tahu kita harus mengeluarkan opini kita karena itu adalah kejujuran yang hakiki, atau karena itu yang orang pengen denger.
Yeah, because I think part of intellectual integrity is the ability for you to stand on your own intellectual ground, regardless of whether or not the people around you agree or disagree, right? I think that's, and I think tying to the conversation on social media, that's where it's kind of relevant because sometimes I kind of question. I'm on a side of social media that's obviously very highly opinionated, and sometimes I beg the question of like, how much do you actually believe in the things that you are saying, or are you just saying it because number one, you want to fit in?
Yeah.
Because let's just be real, like some people just do that. They go on with the mainstream narrative just so that they blend in.
Okay.
Right? Or number two, it's just something that maybe it's not a matter of blending in, but it's something, apa sih namanya in psychology? Confirmation bias.
Oh,
As in
confirmation
to say
bias.
because everybody around you, that's what everybody around you says. That's the environment that you operate within. That you internalize that as being the truth, but you've never tried to challenge that, right? So it becomes an ideology that you hold on to pukul mati. You see what I'm trying to say?
Iya, paham sih.
Yeah.
Permasalahannya nih. Kalau kita bicara stoikisme, Marcus Aurelius juga pernah bilang, nggak semua hal harus kita keluarkan opini.
Oh ya.
Artinya, yang aku lihat sekarang, opini itu di sosial media dikeluarkan bukan for the sake of the opininya, tapi apa yang orang pikirkan ketika opini ini keluar dari gue.
Yup. The validation or the reaction that you want to get.
Atau virtue signaling yang kita kasih ke orang lain kan.
Yeah, forgot that word, virtue signaling.
Artinya kalau aku pribadi ya, makanya aku tidak delve into the whole things about ya tadi itu intellectual integrity lah apa segala macam. Karena aku juga nggak mikirin sebenarnya. Ngerti gak sih?
Lebih gampang gitu sih.
Orang mau ngapain terserah gitu. Orang mau ribut mau apa mau ya udah.
Kalau bahasa Jawanya carpe dewe.
Carpe dewe apa tuh? Terserah aja.
Terserah. Just like to each their own, right?
Iya.
Yeah, to each their own.
Kadang-kadang tuh sampai apa ya? Gini. Masa pernah aku satu meja sama temen. Terus dia lagi mau ngomongin teman yang lain nih, orang lain nih. Dit, kenapa sih? Terus dia langsung diem kan. Oh iya gue lupa, lo gak pernah ngomongin orang ya? Dia bilang gitu. Gak jadi ngomong dia. Artinya, ya emang aku gak peduli juga. Ngerti gak sih?
Yeah.
Orang mau ngapain? Orang mau ngomong apa? Orang mau berlaku apa? Ya udah gitu.
You and I have that in common. Me personally, if it ain't my circus and it ain't my monkey, I don't care.
Iya kan?
Yeah. And I think it's also, I think some people, like, I hope I don't sound conceited saying this, but I think some people, like the both of us, we have the understanding of just the diversity of humanity, right? Like part of the diversity of being human and existing in this world is not just racial and ethnic diversity or like neurodivergence misalnya, but it's also just like diversity of opinions and world views and lifestyles, right? And it's like, I mean, bodo amat trying to control all of that. That's not something within your control.
Iya.
Yeah.
Iya kan? Aku hanya true to myself. Ngomong apa yang aku suka. Aku bikin satu video di Reels soal aku main Eiyuden Chronicle, Japanese role playing game. Gambarnya pixel art gitu. And I'm happy doing it gitu loh.
Yeah.
Artinya
it brings you joy.
Iya.
It sparks joy.
Iya. Kenapa nggak lebih banyak orang yang secara autentik mengejar apa yang mereka suka aja gitu? Udahlah.
No, I think that's interesting. It not only that it sparks joy, but it sparks joy and you're not hurting anybody.
Iya.
Because some things that spark joy may hurt somebody, right? But
lalu kayak orang bikin konten salah. Katakan ada yang salah lah bikin konten apapun lah, kita nggak ngerti blunder atau apapun. Terus digebukin rame-rame. Tiba-tiba keluar konten yang menjelaskan bahwa konten blunder itu sebenarnya tidak salah, tapi ini dari sisi yang lain. Tiba-tiba berbalik jadi gebukin yang satunya lagi. Terus ya makanya ya udah sih kontrol diri aja sih, nggak usah ribut-ribut dulu sih gitu. Ya buat apa gitu?
See, this is why I thought it would be interesting for you and me to talk about stoicism and how it can relate to being in the digital age. Or like actually I think more specifically it's not the digital age, tapi lebih tepatnya itu the reactionary age.
Iya, betul, karena everybody reacts to something anyway sekarang.
Yeah. I guess something interesting that would also be helpful for listeners is what Stoic principles can basically help you. Mungkin dari sisi internet users dulu deh. Because I feel like being on the internet, do you ever just feel like being on the internet brings out the worst side of you sometimes?
Worst side of me?
Yeah.
Ya, bisa juga.
Do you feel that way? Because secara teknis algoritmenya itu bekerjanya itu seperti itu sih. It tends to
apa ya konkretnya ya?
Memicu certain emotions. So, but I'm just wondering like how do you feel being on social media?
Aku kalau kita bicara sosial media nih.
Yeah. Are you on there a lot?
aku ngeblok kan dari 2 SMA.
Ngeblok?
Iya, nulis blog.
Oh, blog.
Weblog.
Yeah.
Berarti itu udah 22 tahun anjir. 22 tahun terlibat di sosial media.
Wow.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dulu ketika dapat komen jelek atau apa, pasti kepikiran dong, anak SMA 17 tahun.
Of course.
Iya kan?
You're only human, yeah.
Ini tidak berguna. Aku ini apa gitu kan? Hanya gara-gara satu stranger dari internet. Kayak gitu kan.
User 2567.
Iya, siapapun itu kan. Sampai akhirnya aku ngerasa bahwa orang yang ngomong jahat di internet itu siapa gitu. Betapa banyak waktu luang mereka. Betapa menyedihkannya energi yang mereka pakai hanya untuk ngatain orang. Jadi aku lebih berempati sebenarnya.
You start pitying them at some point.
Iya.
Right? Yeah,
Kalau ada orang komentar jahat di apalah kontenku ya misalnya. Podcastnya jelek banget, kayak nggak modal misalnya, atau setnya apa gitu misalnya, katakanlah gitu ya.
Yeah.
Kayak kalau bisa punya waktu banyak, 2 menit, 3 menit, lu punya waktu untuk ngeledekin orang tuh, kenapa sih gitu? Jadi kasihan gitu.
Have you ever gotten one of those hate DMs that are like a paragraph? Or like a really mean, it doesn't have to be a hate one, but just like a really mean DM from somebody, like some random user. And it's like a fucking paragraph, bro.
Nah, persoalannya aku kan jarang ngasih opini di publik ya, terhadap apapun. Itu
but
kan
isn't comedy technically a form of your opinion?
Persoalannya premisku kalau nanti nonton stand up-ku, ntar aku undang ya nonton stand up-ku.
Oh, you better. I'm waiting for the invitation, yeah.
Itu lebih banyak ceritain soal diriku. Jadi komedi kan butuh objek.
Yeah, needs a subject. Needs a target.
Yeah. Nah, targetnya biasanya aku sendiri, aku dan sekelilingku sih gitu.
Okay.
Jadi nggak begitu, opiniku tuh bukan ke hot issue yang kayak gitu-gitu sih.
Okay.
Biasanya opini-opini yang gitu kan karena beda opini kan, makanya komen-komen itu kan beda opini. Nah, aku nggak pernah, tapi yang berhubungan sama karya sih pernah.
Yeah.
Bikin buku. Ada yang komen, kasihan semua kayu-kayu dan pohon-pohon ditebangi hanya untuk membuat buku sampah seperti ini.
Pernah ada yang tulis
Pernah ada. Kasihan nih pohon-pohon jadi tumbang buat bikin sampah kayak gini misalnya gitu. Ya pernah dapet, tapi ya aku blink and move on. Oke, gitu. Gitu doang udah.
You can just look at it, you're like,
iya, blink and move on aja.
Blink and move on.
Iya. Nah, cuman persoalannya adalah dulu memang agak sulit, tapi sekarang udah ya udah gitu.
Yeah, like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But what about from the perspective of you as an internet user and not as, because the both of us, like, we're like figures on social media, but we're also users on social media.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you spend too long being on social media, like you're just doom scrolling tahu kan? Like, doom scrolling kayak gitu. Does that make you feel some type of like negative emotion? Like, how do you feel being on social media?
Temperance kan?
Temperance.
Udah 3 kali scroll.
You said you're disciplined about how much time you spend scrolling on social media.
Lebih ke ini ngapain ya? Udah gitu. Ini ngapain ya? Udah.
I feel like that's something, but ini sih lebih this is more of a generational problem where we don't, especially Gen Zs and younger, we don't have that temperance on social media. Cause I think the longest, oh my god, Buzzer, what's the longest you've ever doom scrolled? 4 hours. I beat you 6.
Wow.
Of just scrolling.
TikTok tuh berarti. Reels, TikTok.
Probably Reels, TikTok. You know what? I'm gonna be so honest. Out of all of the social media platforms, I hate Twitter the most, for obvious reasons.
Aku udah meninggalkan itu lama sekali.
Yeah, you're not on Twitter anymore, huh?
Dulu aku gede banget di Twitter.
Yeah, and then why'd you leave?
Berantem mulu orang isinya.
Nah itu kan.
Berantem untuk hal-hal segampang masalah Docmart, nggak enak dipakai, orang jadi ribut berhari-hari.
Tell them.
Terus ribut lagi soal apa-apa dan aneh-aneh gitu ributnya. Belum lagi ya.
Right.
Aduh, nggak ngerti lah. Pokoknya Twitter aku udah tinggalin jauh lah.
Because I think that's how you felt. That's how I feel actively. Like these days, like being on Twitter, it's not just because I trend on Twitter and then like obviously like that's.
Kamu sering trending di Twitter?
Oh yeah.
Gara-gara?
I don't want to.
Berbagai macam.
Berbagai macam bullshit that I really don't want to talk about. Sometimes sometimes it's so ridiculous because I don't even do anything and then suddenly out of nowhere I trend because some account posted about me and then everybody's picking it up.
Yeah, post-truth ya.
Yeah, but it's just. Twitter is that one platform where if I spend too long, it starts making me like I actually feel violent. I'm not even joking. It makes me feel such like very high and negative emotion that it sinks me into depression sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie.
2010 umur berapa?
Oh, 2010 I was maybe. Can somebody here do math? I'm born 97. So 2010 minus 97.
14.
Maybe like 13, 14.
Udah Twitteran? Belum?
No, I think Twitter was when we were older, right?
Nah.
Yeah.
Iya, Twitter udah ada.
Oh ya.
Aku 2009 soalnya.
Oh,
Twitter.
okay.
Itu betapa fun dan serunya Twitter tahun 2010. Astaga.
What was it like?
We were joking around every time. Iya kan ngelawang. Lo hidup di era itu? Oh iya. Aku nge-tweet soal jomblo lah. Pagi blo. Udah mandi belum? Terus yang RT banyak. Terus ya ampun astaga, aku sampai download semua arsip Twitterku yang dulu kadang-kadang masih suka aku baca. Kok dulu kita bisa se-fun ini sih? Bisa fun banget sih. Kayak tiba-tiba aku nge-tweet, sorry nanya doang, remote TV gua mana ya? Terus yang reply banyak. Bang, bukan di gua bang. Bang, ini lucu banget Twitter itu dulu.
Right.
Terus nanti aku nge-tweet tweetku bodoh-bodoh banget sih. Dan dulu kita suka main fiksi mini. Tahu nggak fiksi mini? Fiksi mini kita bikin cerita fiksi dengan 120 karakter.
Oh, like mini fictional stories.
Iya. Ala-ala Hemingway pernah bikin juga tuh kayak bukan nge-tweet ya, tapi dia pernah nulis soal dijual baby shoes never worn. Apa itu artinya? Baby shoes never worn. Oh, berarti dia udah beli sepatu bayi tapi bayinya meninggal. Ngerti nggak maksudnya?
Ya, dark jokes ya.
Bukan dark jokes sih, tapi lebih ke cerita pendek. Tapi punya meaning yang lebih profound daripada si itunya, si kalimatnya.
Okay, my bad.
Tiap ngopi aku nge-tweet, kopi pertama pagi ini. Pahit, seperti cinta yang tidak dianggap. Gitu-gitu.
It's like a mini diary almost.
Aduh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
When did it all change? When did it all go downhill?
Gak ngerti. Ketika banyak orang pintar di Twitter.
Yakin pintar?
Gak tahu sih.
Yakin pintar?
Gak tahu sih. Ketika banyak orang pintar di Twitter, kopi pertama pagi ini, terus di tweet, beneran ngopi apa enggak sih? Kan udah jam segini. Waduh. Maaf ya bro. Maaf ya. Iya sih. Cuman nge-tweet doang sih bro. Maaf ya. Sorry, remote TV gue di mana, ada yang ngeliat nggak di reply kan? Gimana orang yang nggak punya TV perasaannya baca ini? Apa rasanya? Orang-orang yang nggak punya TV kalau baca ini? Ya, coba perasaannya gimana? Lo bisa remote TV lo hilang? Kalau sekarang mungkin kayak gitu.
Yeah, probably.
Karena semua dijadiin masalah kan?
Oh yeah, of course. Even just asking a question. I remember I asked a question on Twitter.
Nanya apa?
I can't remember. It was about the elections. Okay, to be fair, it was about the elections. But I asked a question, and then like the replies were like, Google exists for a reason. And it's like, well, okay, fair. I could have Googled it, but what is so wrong about wanting to open up a
Why everyone
discussion?
is so angry sih?
Yeah.
Ada apa sih? Kenapa semua jadi marah-marah tuh? Kenapa sih? Ada masalah apa sih?
Right after you eat this.
Apa sekurang relax itu ya? Kita as a society, ada apa dengan kita? Kenapa kita di dunia maya berlindung di balik username itu bisa begitu blatantly jahat sih?
Blatantly hateful. There's a...
Apa sih?
Oh fuck, wait, where is it? I feel like I noted it down. It was I did not note it down. Basically, there's this. I'll put it up on screen. I'll look it up. But there's this phenomena whereby, like, when people on social media, there's research to suggest that you become more aggressive and more hostile on social media than you actually would be in real life, given that you were talking about the same exact topic or with the exact same person, because of a few factors. Number one, you're hiding behind a screen, so the anonymity, it gives you protection. But I feel like part of it too, social media, for some reason, it removes a human element to it. It's almost, it dehumanizes human conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tahu.
Because sometimes I feel like, and I've tried this out before, where I say the exact same thing that I say online in my Reel videos or my TikTok videos, or the exact same thing that I write in my IG story or Twitter misalnya. I say the exact same thing. I delivered it the exact same way kalau misalnya ini video kayak gitu. But when it's in person, they're not that hostile. They don't have that visceral of a reaction to it. Whereas when it's behind the screen, all of a sudden it's like they interpret it as like it's a challenge, it's an attack, which, by the way, this is also, I think, one of the problems and where Stoicism like kind of ties to all of this, right? Part of Stoicism, I think, is like the constant pursuit of wisdom requires you to be in a position where you're constantly challenged, right? And you have to want to be challenged. And I think the issue is these days people don't want to be challenged, right? Or is that a thing these days, or is it just like because we're humans and we just don't like things that are uncomfortable? Aku juga tahu.
Ya mungkin itu juga, mungkin karena kita nggak suka di challenge dan kita tidak dibiasakan. Ya maksudnya kalau Indonesia kan emang society-nya conformity-nya tinggi ya.
Iya.
Kita mungkin beda kali kayak di Amerika, sehingga kadang-kadang kalau nggak juga ya.
But I see
sekarang mulai
I see it higher here because yes, collectivism and higher in conformity, that's a factor here. But I think it's more so this issue of where social media kind of dehumanizes human conversations and like dehumanizes humans entirely. I think like that's a worldwide phenomena sih.
Kita tuh kehilangan human interaction secara nyata tahu sebenarnya. Karena ketika aku muda dulu ya, ketika masih SMA, chatting itu cuma di jam-jam tertentu di MIRC dengan ASL PLS itu loh. Nggak tahu kamu nggak familiar dengan semua istilah itu ya? No. Jadi tempat kita ngobrol itu namanya MIRC. Aku bahkan nggak tahu apa artinya.
Oke.
Itu adalah chat room.
Oke.
Setiap kali kita mau kenalan sama orang, kita pilih nama dari nickname mereka. Lalu kita klik 2 kali di nama yang kita suka. Misalnya Indah Ji, cantik misalnya. Itu nickname kamu. Aku klik 2 kali, terus ASL PLS, age, sex, location please.
Oh, that's what it stands for.
Lo kayaknya nggak terlalu tua muda buat ini deh. Lo seharusnya tahu buzzer.
Oh, itu datanya dari situ.
Tahu kan?
Cause they say that in Omigo.
Itu datang dari MIRC. MIRC.
Oh, wow, oke.
Di mana ASL please segala macam. Which is aku dulu zaman SMA 70, sekolahku senioritasnya kan lumayan tinggi ya dulu ya, nggak tahu kalau sekarang ya. Kalau dulu kenalan sama cewek, ngobrol, ternyata sama-sama kelas 1 SMA di 70, ketemuan, janjian ketemuan di hari H. Pas ketemuan yang dateng kakak kelas paling galak, dia bilang gua yang ngobrol sama lu laki-laki, nggak taunya dia pura-pura jadi perempuan. Dikerjain gue 2 minggu, bolos sekolah takut ketemu dia. Takut ketemu dia.
Brutal.
Iya, tapi itu MIRC. Jadi kita chatting itu, bayangin jatah kita buat ngobrol, belum ada handphone. Jatah kita buat ngobrol dengan orang lain digitally. Itu hanya 2 jam sehari.
Oh, there was a limit back then.
Iya, karena aku cuma bisa 2 jam.
Oh, oke.
Maksudnya komputerku di kamar adik gitu maksudnya.
Oke.
Ya, limitnya dari keluarga.
Got it. Oke.
Dan waktu itu main MRC kan di PC. Harus pakai, kamu mah nggak bakal mengerti.
No.
Dulu
I'm born 97.
Hah?
I'm born 97.
Makanya dulu buat connect ke internet harus pakai kabel telepon, Indaji. Kabel telepon dicolok di belakang PC, dan tiap kali kita pencet, you have to Google this and you have to put it in this podcast. Ada yang namanya bunyi dial up. Do you familiar with bunyi dial up? Gitu. Binatang kepala 4, sayap 1, kakinya 5. Namanya itu. Gitu kan. Tetet tetet ada gitunya tuh. Tetet. Jadi ada kayak it's about 1 minute, 1 to 2 minute.
Wow.
Baru nyambung. You're connected to the internet. Itu cara kita connect.
You had to wait a minute or two to connect to the internet.
Iya.
What's happening?
It's loading.
Did y'all know that the average human attention span is 8 seconds? That was, I think, that's data from 2023. Back in 2010, I think it used to be like 12 seconds.
Oh, berarti makin turun ya?
Yeah, makin turun. Yeah.
Ya,
But you had to wait.
Semenit 2 menit ya.
Oh, these days, these days, I swear to God, these days our attention spans probably only like what 5 seconds. We would not last that. We would not outlive that.
Tapi nggak hanya itu, Indaji. Untuk bisa connect di PC rumah itu, aku harus masuk ke kamar adikku. Adikku pada saat itu, entah kenapa, dia memelihara burung di kamarnya yang dia lepas. Jadi aku harus membuka pintu dengan hati-hati supaya itu burung itu tidak keluar. Dan pas lagi main internet, melihat di mana burung itu berada supaya nggak tiba-tiba berakin kepala aku.
Oh, oke. Dan juga jangan biar nggak gigit kabelnya mungkin. Wait, no.
Kayak burung nggak gigit kabel sih.
No, because some birds do. Some birds bite cables.
Ya tikus terbang ya mungkin.
It's a rat with wings. You know what that sounds like to me? A friggin' bat.
Kalau burung kayaknya enggak. Nah, bayangin kita cuma di limit hanya 2 jam. Aku di limit cuma 2 jam. Itu aja ngobrol dengan begitu banyak orang dan lain-lain. Aku jadi bisa baca komik lagi, bisa keluar rumah, bisa ngobrol sama temen, bisa janjian sama temen, pergi kemana. Sekarang MIRC itu yang aku rasain, itu terkoneksi 24 jam nonstop. Itu mengubah psyche kita banget kan.
Oh, of course.
Ini gak natural tahu sebenarnya.
Oh, of course.
Untuk selalu terkoneksi ini, iya gak sih?
Yeah.
Jadi gampang stres.
Yeah.
Gampang anxious membandingkan hidup dengan orang lain.
Added on top of that, the hostile nature of social media. Like it's inherently hostile in nature. Entah alasannya kenapa itu ada banyak ya. Like that's a different conversation. But added on top of that, it's not just you're constantly connected, but you're constantly connected in a space that is very hostile and what's another word that I can use? Ya, hostile aja.
Dulu itu, kalau ada orang kaya deket rumah, kita gosipin. Lu tau gak rumah dia ada liftnya bro, gini-gini. Bener masa rumah ada liftnya. Sekarang, hai guys, ini lift rumah baru aku guys. Gitu, terus dia naik turun.
Yeah.
Jadi artinya, ini teoriku sih. Kita nih generasi yang kehilangan misteri tau.
Because everything is put on blast on the internet.
Misterinya udah gak ada. Dulu kebahagiaan kita adalah membongkar siapa ini sosok yang lagi duduk di depan gua ketika gua lagi first date, nanya kabarnya dia apa segala macam kayak gimana. Sekarang kita cuman lihat IG-nya dia. 4 tahun yang lalu lo nginep sama pacar lo di Bandung. Nggak mungkin beda kamar dong lo pada saat itu. Ya kan?
Or stalk them on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn bisa di stalk gitu kan, ketahuan kalau kita lihat LinkedIn orang.
Well, kalau mereka if they don't check.
Oke. Ya stalk di LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Tawarin dia pekerjaan. Enggak ya, kan untuk itu kan.
Iya.
Artinya manusia-manusia yang kita kenal sekarang itu udah apa adanya, tergambar di depan kepala kita. Mana misterinya? Mana misterinya? Kita nggak tahu lagi gitu loh.
Yeah. Nothing is private anymore.
Iya.
To some extent.
Iya.
Well, unless you private your account, but even then that's not really that private either.
Ketemu temen nih. Apa kabar lo gitu? Oh, gue kan baru pulang dari Bali. Lo nggak lihat story gue? Lah. Jadi apa kabar aja udah kayak gue assume.
Yeah.
Lu tahu gue ngapain?
That's true.
Ngerti gak?
Yeah, that's true.
Iya sih.
Yeah.
Nah makanya aku punya satu teman. Namanya Winnie panggilannya. Dia nggak punya sosial media, umurnya 40 juga kayak aku.
Okay.
Tahun ini. Enggak, dia 39.
Oh, she must be so happy.
Happy banget orangnya. Dia bilang, Radit, waktu itu kita ketemu, aku lagi makan di Sarinah, di kantor Gojek. Dia ternyata makan sebelahku sini. Teman SMA. Lagi makan, dia ngeliat, Radit apa kabar? Baik Win, baik gimana gitu. Ngobrol-ngobrol dong gitu. So, gimana kabar lo? Gue gak punya sosial media sama sekali. Gue nggak tahu lo udah punya anak, nikah apa, ceritain dong. Itu adalah percakapan paling menyenangkan.
that you had in a while. I'm
Iya,
sure.
karena dia secara atentif kayak, oh ya lo udah ini, oh ya lo bikin ini, lo bikin itu.
Does she know you're famous?
Tahu.
Oke.
Tahu. Kalau itu tahu. Cuman nggak tahu kabar.
Oke.
Nggak tahu kabar.
Got it.
Wah itu kita kehilangan itu. Ya kamu mungkin digital native ya. Maksudnya lahir dengan internet sudah ada kan?
97, I think we're the generation that grew up
With the internet kan?
Yeah, right? We grew up with internet. We grew up on social media. I was already on social media starting middle school.
Ya. Terus kenapa Ryan Holiday dengan semua konten-konten stoicism dia bisa naik di masa sekarang ini coba? Kenapa kita tiba-tiba lean back ke ancient philosophy yang bahkan tulang belulangnya aja kita udah nggak tahu bentuknya kayak gimana?
It's making a comeback. It made in the US and the UK. It made a comeback in 2020. And actually, there was when I was doing a bit of research about this, one of the factors. So not the only one, but one of the factors that this article mentioned was the decline in religiosity. That's happening in the Western world. So people are turning to ancient philosophies like Stoicism or maybe not Greek mythology, mungkin nggak, but like Stoicism is like probably the most popular one. So they're turning to these older ways of like finding meaning and finding purpose because modern day religion just doesn't do it for them, kayak gitu.
Karena memang kita harus nyari meaning tahu sebenarnya.
Oh yeah, of course.
Kalau nggak ini semua ya empty shell aja kan. Nah makanya menurut aku cara buat jadi bahagia adalah untuk tahu meaning kita tuh apa sebenarnya di dunia ini gitu loh. Orang bisa ke stoikisme. Tapi apakah itu yang benar mau mereka lakuin? Kalau aku mau bikin stories. I want to make stories gitu.
Yeah.
Ya anakku punya cerita soal aku. Aku punya cerita di atas stand up comedy.
Right.
Aku senang bikin cerita aja untuk orang-orang lain gitu. Yang ada akunya ya gitu. Jadi kalau bisa ceritain aku ke orang lain, aku bisa ceritain soal anakku ke orang lain. Itu sih. Kayaknya orang emang purposeless, banyak yang purposeless juga, makanya banyak yang
turn to stoicism.
Iya.
Yeah. And I feel like because a lot of people are kind of just in this limbo state of not knowing what their purpose is, not knowing what the meaning of life is, right? And then you get to, and then I guess you get on social media, and then suddenly you don't really know how to act, and like it's a lot of projecting. I think like once you get on social media, I think especially when you see other people that are doing well for themselves, because of course social media is a highlight reel, right? You kind of post like all the good things like on social media, and so of course like people see that, and then it's just a lot of projection of their insecurity because they're bitter and resentful of how maybe they don't have that.
Iya.
Itu yang juga terjadi sih.
Iya.
Yeah.
Dan betapa gampangnya kalau orang salah langsung digebukin rame-rame kan?
Yeah, I think it's the lack of. I don't know, it's the lack of introspection because it's almost as if you are going to be this, if you are going to be this, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it punitive? Like you want to punish somebody this much for making a mistake, you would have to be so certain in your own character that you have never made a mistake of a similar caliber. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the munaficness of that, so it's the double standardness of that too.
Yeah.
Because I think in some ways, I don't know, this is like just my personal reckoning of like social media from the POV of me being a user, from being somebody that grew up on social media. I think there's something about being on social media that kind of it kind of triggers the narcissistic part of your brain.
Tentu saja.
And it kind of makes because I think you live in an echo chamber when you're just on social media, and so like the whole world, it makes you feel as if the whole world should revolve around you and your ideas and your ways of viewing the world, and if other people deviate out of that, they're the problem.
Iya.
Ya kan?
Karena problem sangat dengan sosial media adalah instant gratification itu kan.
Yeah.
Kapan aja kita bisa dipuji orang, cuman bikin sekali konten apa dan bagus langsung isi komen keren banget bro. Itu kan addicting dan dopamine inducing juga gitu loh.
Yeah.
Artinya memang makanya problem tuh makin banyak setelah ada sosial media ini gitu loh.
Yeah.
Cuma aku masih mikirin soal yaitu betapa banyak misteri yang hilang hanya gara-gara kita connected terus gini.
How old's your kid now? The oldest one?
5 tahun.
Oh, too young to be on social media.
Ya mereka enggak. Cuma
Right?
nih contoh ya. Mereka kalau minggu itu screen time. Only hari Minggu.
Minggu doang.
Only Sunday. Kalau lagi screen time, mereka buka YouTube for Kids.
Oke.
Video nggak terhingga di situ kan. Ada banyak banget kan. Unlimited videos kan.
Ya.
Dan mereka pilih mana yang mau mereka tonton kan. Kadang-kadang 2 jam, 3 jam, habis itu break, habis itu main lagi ya kan. Dulu buat nonton kartun kita harus nungguin Dragon Ball jam 8, jam 9 nanti apa.
I kind of remember
Iya
that.
nggak sih?
Yeah.
Lu masih hidup di zaman itu, bro? Ya Allah.
I kind of remember that.
Apa? 21.
Oh,
Oh, Indosiar Pokemon.
Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network.
Beda sih, TV kabel ya, TV kabel, Animal Planet ya. Beda.
Okay, my
RCTI dulu, aku
my
nonton
privilege is
RCTI.
showing, never mind.
Itu abis Doraemon, Shinchan tuh, iya kan? Doraemon, Shinchan. Oh iya, tinju.
Oh.
Artinya kita menunggu untuk melihat tontonan apa sesuai jadwal. Sekarang kapan
Unlimited.
aja tinggal pencet. Gua mau ini, dapat. Gua mau ini, dapat. Itu apa yang berefek ke psikis mereka? Ketika mereka gede nanti kan kita nggak pernah tahu apa efeknya itu. Untuk kita minta dan kita dapat. Selalu.
Are you scared of the day that what's the name of the oldest again?
Alea.
Alea, yeah. Are you scared of one day when the time comes that Alea makes an Instagram account?
Enggak juga sih.
No.
Enggak.
You're fine with it? I see a lot of my friends that have become parents and like they're trying to navigate how do I educate my child on like how to manage themselves on social media, because I think that is that is a topic of concern for a lot of parents, because we ourselves like we have felt it, right, of just like how social media can be a very dangerous place.
Yeah.
At worst it can be dangerous, but then at maybe not at best, but at the very worst it can be a very dangerous place, like predators and all that. But then when it's not that dangerous, it's mentally dangerous as well.
Ya, aku berkaca aja dari pengalamanku main game Overwatch. Main Overwatch, lu juga main ya? Main Overwatch, kenalan sama orang random di Overwatch. Tiap malam kita main bareng, berlima, satu party itu masih berenam ya dulu ya, Overwatch 1 ya? Berenam. Dengan 5 teman baru ini. Lalu saking serunya bermain bersama mereka, suatu hari aku mengundang mereka semua main ke rumahku. Mereka terpencar dari berbagai kota di Indonesia. Datanglah mereka, nginep bareng di rumahku. Pertama kalinya ketemu, kita semua kenal dari internet. Datang, ada teman dari Bali, namanya Vinanto, ada yang dari Pekanbaru, namanya Andi, dan lain-lain. Terus si satpam rumahku bilang, "Bang, ada yang nyariin siapa?" Ada kayaknya anak-anak deh, anak-anak. Kayak gimana? Iya, katanya Textrax. Wah, itu teman main Overwatch tuh. Suruh dia naik gitu kan, naik. Mukanya muda banget, gue bilang, "Lu teman main game gue?" "Iya bang, mau nginep hari ini." Bentar dulu nih. Bentar dulu ya. Sebentar. Umur lo berapa? 17 tahun bang. Bohong, gue gak percaya. Mana KTP lo? Udah bikin bang. Dia ternyata bener 17 tahun, tapi mukanya muda banget. Tapi lu bener ya, cukup umur ya lu ya. Iya, oke, 17 tahun. Oke. Orang tua tahu nggak lu nginep di sini? Enggak bang. Telepon bapak lo sekarang. Oke bang, telepon. "Pak, aku izin mau nginep ya." "Nginep di mana?" "Teman dari mana?" "Kenal di internet." Sini. Sini. Om, kenalin, saya Raditya Dika.
Oh my god.
Ini saya main sama Textrax nih. Textrax, oh ya nama aslinya ini. Aku ada fotonya, nanti mungkin aku kasih lihat.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Muda, abis itu keesokan harinya kita di Citos bareng, aku ambil foto gitu. Sekarang udah kerja dia.
Oh, that's good.
UI UX designer.
Oh.
Aku kenal dia dari zaman berarti dia SMA ya. Sampai lulus kuliah, sampai kerja temenan.
Wow.
Temenan sama dia.
Wow, that's so cute.
Iya, Textrax. Nama akunnya Textrax. Main mulu sorry. Tapi artinya adalah kalau itu anak gue dan rumah yang dia datangi bukan seorang YouTuber yang menulis buku, gue khawatir juga dong.
Oh ya, of course.
Iya kan? Kamu di mana? Di rumah temen di mana? Kenal di internet. Cowok cewek? Cowok. Tapi tenang aja Pak, ada 4 laki-laki lain. Tunggu dulu ya.
No.
Bentar ya. Sebentar.
No. Back the
Di
fuck
mana rumah itu? Bapak mau ikut nginep. Ya seberbahaya itu gak sih? Iya kan? Itu aja aku bisa temenan sama anak 17 tahun pada saat itu.
Iya. And that was back then.
Back then, iya bener.
Right? Because the
Zaman
concept of
dulu.
internet friends has not become normalized up until like I think recent.
Emang iya ya?
Internet friends sekarang udah lazim sih. Yeah, now it's like a common thing. Now it's like you literally like you follow each other like you've never even met, but like you like probably you interact with one another on Twitter, and then suddenly they're on your close friends story on Instagram.
Tahu-tahu pas kita ketemuan jadi berasa udah kenal lama ya. Padahal
Yeah.
cuma lihat-lihatan doang.
Iya, itu juga.
Tapi yang kasihan sama generasi sekarang itu tadi tahu tuh semua misteri tadi.
Yeah.
LDR coba. Tahu nggak aku zaman dulu LDR di Australia harus nyari ini telepon berbayar. Telepon sekarang udah nggak ada lagi. Sekarang pakai Zoom. Jangan dimatiin, aku mau lihat kamu bobo. Terus tidur nggak bisa, hidungnya kurang deket, napasnya nggak kedengeran.
You know what? I don't understand the people that do that. That's a
Wah,
little
itu
too much.
banyak banget.
That's
kayak
creepy.
Gitu. Banyak lah kayak gitu.
Yeah.
Nggak creepy emang creepy. Banyak yang kayak gitu.
No, to me that's creepy. No, even if a lot of people do it, I still think it's creepy.
Napasnya. Kadang-kadang nyala 24 jam webcamnya.
Oh ya, itu juga.
Apapun yang dilakuin, aku matiin dulu ya mau pergi. Enggak, aku mau lihat ruang kosong itu.
Ya, itu juga.
Aku mau lihat ruangannya kosong aja.
Yeah.
Gitu. Lu pernah ya berarti ya? Dulu aku pernah naksir cewek. Surat-suratan.
Wow.
Iya.
Wow.
Kenal di
Handwritten notes.
Iya, itu
Handwritten letters.
SMP.
Wow.
Kenal di sebuah hotel. Tapi aku bisa jelasin. Jadi keluarga kita lagi nginep, keluarga dia juga lagi nginep di hotel ini. Lalu, lucu juga ya ngeliat dari jauh. Terus akhirnya dengan segala trik, aku tuh dulu punya grup detektif pas SMP. Ini terlalu nerd sih. Dengan semua trik detektifku dan berkat bantuan 108 dulu, kalau kita nelpon 108 kita tahu alamat rumah dan nomor telepon gitu-gitu.
Oke.
Aku jadi tahu rumah dia di mana, namanya siapa dan lain-lain. Dia nggak pernah lihat mukaku. Tapi aku tahu dia kayak gimana, cantik banget ceweknya. Tinggal di Manggarai dulu. Dulu aku tinggal di Senopati di Blok S. Dan Manggarai itu buat aku masih terlalu jauh karena aku belum bisa nyetir dan lain-lain kayak SMP kan. Dia suka sama aku hanya karena teleponan. Dia nggak tahu mukaku gimana, nggak tahu apapun soal aku, tapi karena menyenangkan di telepon, dia naksir beneran. Kita jadian. Cuman itu effortnya gede karena semua topik pembicaraan itu aku tulis dulu.
Alright.
Nanti kalau kesini jawabnya ini, sini. Jadi udah disiapin gitu.
Right.
Tapi dia jadi suka kita jadian. Suatu hari tiba-tiba dia bilang, boleh nggak kirimin foto kamu? Terus aku carilah foto terbaik. Itu foto Lebaran tahun sebelumnya.
Oke.
Pakai kaos V-neck warna hijau. Kirim ke dia. Habis itu dia.
And that is it for the free portion of this episode. If you want access to the full episode with no ads, just for 18,000 rupiahs that will go towards supporting the show and all the people like Peter and Tito that work so hard to make all this happen, head on over to Noise either on your mobile device app or web browser. Accepted payment methods include GoPay, QRIS, credit cards, and virtual accounts. See you there.